Hi everyone, Kiki Halbert here again today, and I'm going to be going through a flip through of the layouts that I've done during our quarantine period so far. So it's been a really weird time, but I think a lot of us will agree that we've gotten a lot more scrapbooking done than we normally would, and I would have to say that for me, I have got a lot more done than I ever thought I would during this period. So I thought I would run through some of the layouts. So this one I have a process video on. I'm looking through, I was using some of these vellum stars and they're not sticking very well, unfortunately. I don't think they'll make it through the years, but anyhow, we'll see what happens. And I kind of like this old funky flower. But this has been it was a really fun layout to finally finish. I do like the finished product. And you see I didn't journal, so every now and then I mentioned in one of my latest layouts that the one thing you probably will never see me do while on one of the videos is journaling or putting on a title because I don't do it a lot of the time. So but I do journal. Look, I have journaling up at the top of this layout, and then I've also listed where the photos were taken. And this was a layout where I was challenged to use my stickles, and so some of the dots are using stickles. And I really love how this layout turned out with these soft papers. This was from a homemade kit that I put together, and I really liked how it came out. And this one here I don't have a layout process video for, but I wanted to show you. This was a challenge that I have done for the Scrap the Boys, and it was so much fun. I took a black cardstock. We were challenged with a mood board that had like a starry sky, and so I decided to start with a black cardstock, and then I used the color spray and the color shine spray in silver, or in tinsel, it's called tinsel, and in navy on top of the black cardstock. And you can see the amazing effect it gave on the paper. It made it look like a starry night. And then I've also got it on some of the wood embellishments, and it really made all the difference. I'll hold it up here so you can see kind of how shiny it is and how it changes the whole look of the paper. It was a lot of fun to work on. This particular layout I've had a lot of fun and a lot of comments on. It's a couple photos of my in-laws, and they're just so cute together. But this one here, I was using a kit from 49 and Market, and I love their wishing bubbles. I love how dimensional they are. And I've got a doily that I've kind of tucked in behind here that's all folded up and colored with the same colors as the papers, the dimensional flowers. I'm so glad I found these old flowers and things because they really made the kit. They made that layout. This one here is a layout that I did mostly with basic grays plumeria. So I started with some stenciling and worked the stenciling around the page. And you'll see I have the journal tag, but I haven't journaled it yet. But there's another colored doily. I love all the textures of this page. I found this photo of my mom and I just love it. I thought it was so her. And so I had to put the word cherish on there, and I love how it really colored the chipboard, but then I also put some glossy accents over it to make it shiny. And this by far has to be probably my most popular layout that I've done so far during the quarantine. This was another challenge for Scrap the Boys, and I have a process video for it as well. So I used the navy, and then I also used the Tropicana teal for the accents, and you'll see that there's a couple of the chipboard pieces from Creative Embellishments, and I won the Creative Embellishments I guess guest post on their Facebook page, and won a nice little package from them. So thanks again, Creative Embellishments. I'm going to get a lot of use out of all the chipboard coming my way. And this layout here I loved doing because it brought me back to my roots of doing art journaling. And it was really art journaling on a page. on a 12 by 12. There are so many different textures. So I started off with some stenciling of little cherry blossoms with texture paste. And then I've got this watercolor fireburst, I think it's called. I use glass bead gel all along here. There's drywall tape. Yes, drywall tape. There's washi tape. There's all kinds of amazing textures on this page. And it doesn't, it all works together. It doesn't sort of clutter the page. I love it. This particular page, I was blown away with the Cartabella Flora number 3. And so when I saw this page, I wanted to do a nice sort of grid pattern. If you know me, this is probably the most photos you've ever seen on a layout for me. So 6 photos in one layout, unbelievable. But I couldn't choose a background paper, so in the end I ended up stenciling on these, the leaves, or well, they kind of look like leaves, but they're actually feathers. So I stenciled on the feathers in different areas and then built it as a layout. And then here's a couple of photos of my husband that I love. They're just, they're so him. So I wanted to do a masculine layout. I've got some spray again here. So this is the bronze from the Color Shine. And then I've got a lot of, this is mostly Prima marketing from the Engraver collection. And I loved how I could do this manly masculine page and still have all these florals, but you'll see that I've got things like this metal gears even tucked in here, right? So you can do masculine pages with flowers. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And then I had a third photo that I had of him that I had printed out at the same time, so I decided to do another layout of it. And lo and behold, this one actually has a title on it. I loved how he was sort of looking out the window. We were at a restaurant for dinner, and it was a really great shot of him. So I thought Penny for Your Thoughts was just the best title for this. So I did a lot of paper layering on this. It didn't have the effect I wanted when I first sat down, but I think it turned out pretty great. Then I have a wedding layout that I have of some photos of me and my mom. And I threw together some of these older Teresa Collins papers and some other papers from, I can't even remember who made those. But I happen to love this page. The photo on the left is actually like processed really strange, but I loved the effect that it gave, so I decided to use it. And then just to tie in the splashes of pink from the flowers, I threw on some of the Heidi Swap blush Color Shine spray. I thought it went really well with this. And then here's another layout using that same sky collection from 49 in Market. So here I used 2 doilies, and what I did is I aged them. I used some old paper and then tea dye, the distress stains. So to get that effect, what I did is I had a piece of wax paper, and I blotted some of the stain down on the paper and then dragged the doily through it. That way you don't go through too much of a mess to try to get your colored doilies. But I just, I loved all the butterflies that they had in the collection and the moths, and this whole thing, I put some additional texture down on the page through a stencil, and the stencil actually had some ink on it, so it kind of was a happy accident, but I really loved how it turned out. And then I had to use up some old Simple Stories collection. So I had some Simple Stories, and I had enough of these little scraps that I could throw these together. So this is a rare page for me. This has a title and journaling. So I used the stickers for the title, but then to make them a little bit more dimensional, I added glossy accents on top of them. And then I journaled on the page. And then this is from the same collection. So this was an actual sketch where the sketch originally had hexagons coming out from the different angles, and then working up the page, and I decided to put my twist on it and use the butterflies. So the butterflies all had to be fussy cut out of one sheet of paper, and I am not a fussy cutter, but I did it. And then I threw on a few of the older Prima marketing flowers that were dimensional. I just thought this was the butterflies were the cutest, so I just had to do something with it. And it was a simple page, but I really, it was nice to be able to get back to scrapbooking. And then for this particular page, I pulled out some of my Shimmer's paints that I haven't had out for a while, and put those onto this cardstock. The cardstock actually is embossed with these polka dots, which I really like. So I added a little bit of stamping in the background too to add some additional texture, and then cut out the little chevrons, and found some cute pictures of my niece when she was a baby. And then last but not least, my husband and I, so this was one of our engagement pictures, and I chose black and white, black and cream really, I guess it is, but I threw on some of the pinks and the blushes. So this is actually using the primrose to kind of throw some pink onto the background with the splashes and the blush. So there's 2 tones of splats on this one. I used one of the Heidi Swap color resist hearts and colored in some of the wood veneers with the primrose. And then I used an old collection from Cartabella for the background papers and the layering. And I loved this strip here. It had all these words that were just so amazing. And the Prima flower is actually stamped with words, and I thought they were really appropriate for this particular layout. So this one does not have a scrapbook process video either. So most of them do, some of them don't. But I hope you enjoyed these, and I'll be posting more layouts in the future, so thanks for being here.